Hi everybody, welcome along to another Timeform Cheltenham video preview. This time looking ahead to day two, we've got some potential Willie Mullins superstars, some competitive handicaps, a bumper and a cross-country race. There's plenty for everyone. I'm joined by fellow Timeform colleague and our chase handicapper Phil Turner, and we'll go in race card order. Phil, we'll start with the Ballymore, and we'll go over and see if you got any thoughts. It looks to be between the top three in the betting, you'd think, but I'll come and see if you got any thoughts on that first race.
Yeah, probably is. I mean, to be honest, I haven't got a strong view on this race. But as I say, it's another small field. I think 7 runners, 5 with P's, so it's their unexposed horses. To be honest, I think Gallard de Menil probably has the sort of deepest form. I think the race it won at the Dublin Racing Festival is the by far the strongest race any of these have run in, and it was quite a stacked Grade 1, and he won it quite well. But I suppose you can always flip that argument around, and you could say that the fact that Brave Man's Game, for example, has run to such a high rating outside of that scenario could reflect even better on him. So he may be the value. I've just got a nagging doubt that, as a general rule, I think the Irish form, both over hurdles and chases, that's where the balance of power is with the top Irish yards. I think they just tends to be more in strength and depth there, and I probably would lean to one of the Irish horses, but the price has probably got on Bob Ollinger, and probably one I'll watch, but probably will be one of the Irish pair.
Yeah, likewise. For all Brave Man's Game, won the Challow in impressive fashion. I know Stargate had won that Winter Novice Hurdle in quite impressively, but I just think he's a chaser in the making. Brave Man's Game, whatever he does this year over hurdles. But like you say, I was in agreement. No strong opinion, but I definitely think the Irish hold the key. And like you say, when you look at the prices, Bob Ollinger's a general 15 to 8. I think Gallard de Menil's as big as 7 to 2. There probably shouldn't be that much between them in the market based on what they've done.
I'm kind of the same. It's sort of more of a price thing. I probably lean a bit more towards Bob Ollinger, but he probably is too short. So probably one to watch. But yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I was in agreement as well. Speaking of short price, we'll go on to what was the RSA. Many people's banker at the meeting in Monkfish, and he just looks to be a chaser that has everything. He's got gears, he can jump, he's got scope, he's probably a potential superstar, and I think if he ran in this year's Gold Cup, he'd probably be favourite anyway.
Yeah, I agree with that. You've said it all. I mean, he looks so much more like the all-round individual this year. He was a very good novice hurdler, but he was a bit more raw then, wasn't he? But famous last words, his jumping has just looked so assured. And the performance last time at Leopardstown was just stellar, because visually it was really good. It was very good on paper in terms of the horses he beat, and it was backed up by a really, really good time figure, really good performance on the clock. If he turns up in that form, he would win virtually every Broadway novices chase has been. So yeah, he's the way to go. And as you say, were he running in the Gold Cup, I'd be backing him in that. So he's an odds-on shot. But of the so-called bankers at the meeting, I think he's one of the more solid ones.
Yeah, I was in total agreement, really. I can't really add anything to that. Just the likes of the big breakaway and Sporting John, it was a case, last time they both ran, it was a case of them sort of picking up the pieces late on rather than...
Yeah, that might be an angle in the without the favourite market. If there's a horse who sort of might not try and serve it up to Monkfish, could come and pick up the pieces late on, that might be a way of looking at it.
Yeah.
Having said that, the argument we had earlier about the sort of the strength and depth of the Irish, the Henry de Bromhead horse, Eclateria, I mean,
yeah,
that looks the main danger for me. Whether he'll pay for trying to sort of mix it with Monkfish late on could be another factor, but I'd say he's by far the most interesting one should something happen to Monkfish.
Cool. So now we'll come on to probably the toughest handicap to solve all season, and I thought I'd have a stab at the Coral Cup.
I was going to hand this one to you, Kieran, because it should be said of all the races at the Cheltenham Festival, it's probably the one I've got the worst strike rating. It's I do okay in some of the other big field handicap hurdles, but this one I always struggle in. The two names which I was drawn to was the the two at the head of the weights, Thomas Darby and Granois, but I suspect you've got something a bit more handy up your sleeve. So go for it, sir.
Yeah, well, I had to do a bit of scratching at the surface to sort of make a case for a horse you'll know well in Janika, and it's just the mark he's running off. He's running here off a mark of 145, and last season he made a winning reappearance in that Haldon Gold Cup of 162. Now I know things didn't go to plan since then. He was held in the Tingle Creek and the Clarence House. He ran in that Ascot chase where nothing has really franked the form from last year. It was a real brutal race, and you can argue it left a mark, but he reverted back to hurdles in that Holloway's hurdle at Ascot on his reappearance, and he'd had a wind up, and he was only 5-1, so they clearly thought he was on a good mark. For all, he has a good record fresh. And yes, he was disappointing, but they've put the tongue tie back on him as well, and it just suggested to me that was it potentially a wind issue, because he still has half a chance turning in. And I just think if that does have an effect, he's 40-1, and some firms are playing first seven, and I just think he's so well handicapped. He's got festival form, albeit over fences in the plate a couple of years ago. And
thanks for reminding me of that. Yeah, that second place. Yeah.
And James Henderson's won the last two renewals. James Bowen's on. I just thought if you're looking for an outsider, you could do.
Well, it could be one of those where as well, because I suspect it may have been quite a tight pick for Daryl Jacob between the two Meunier horses, and because he's picked the other one, the price is even bigger as a result of that. It might have been a flip of the coin for him, and yet because he's rejected him, he's a ridiculously big price, isn't
he? Yeah, I think was it William Henry won this 2 years ago. Had that tried chasing and then come back to?
There's a number of horses. I remember Takan Desoy nearly won it against Super Sunday, and that came back from chasing, didn't it? So it does happen. And when you're talking about the Holden Gold Cup, I remember that was a stellar time figure he did that day. So it's there, isn't it? It's just whether he can show it.
Yeah, just like I said, that Ascot race last year maybe did leave a mark on him, but he had plenty of time off. He didn't run for 11 months, so hopefully that reapplied tongue tie can do the trick. There was just another couple to mention. Blue Sari, probably the closest any horse has got to Envoy Allen when he was second in the bumper. He won on his hurdling debut, then seemed to lost the plot a bit. He has a first-time tongue tie, so again, if that has any effect, he's definitely got the ability, but he's 12-1, and I won't be one of tipping a horse at 12-1 with plenty to prove. For all he is a Mullins JP horse, and Botox was another potential player, but up further in trip. He beat Langadon as a juvenile and was second to All Mankind. So he's got bits and pieces of form that.
Didn't he beat All Mankind in his reappearance? Or have I got that wrong?
Yes, he did actually. Yeah, in that 4-year-old. Yeah. So he could have a squeak, but like I said, I'll put up Janika 40-1 each way. These are what these big handicaps are for.
Go for it. Be brave.
Yeah, exactly. Champion Chase, this one for you, Phil. Again,
I mean, we're on to the short price favourites again, aren't we? And look, this is a race which does have sort of odds-on defeats in its history. I can remember Anna God's daughter getting beaten in this, which was just considered unthinkable. It was in a particularly weak renewal. Obviously, poor old Duvan got injured in the race and was beaten. And you think back to last year, I mean, Defi Desoy was considered so solid and really sort of lame race. So it's always a risk, because I think it's just so cutthroat, the nature of just top end 2 mile chases. If you just sort of 5% off your game, it can just really be more magnified than in other things. But having said all that, if he turns up in the form for most of his recent runs, certainly his last two, his run at the Dublin Racing Festival last season and his Punches Down novice win, he wins this. He's sort of he's been the highest rated jumper with Timeform for quite a while now. And it's all there, and you can tell that, you think of the sort of embarrassment of riches in the Mullins yard. I think they've probably identified this as their best horse, quite a while ago too. Obviously, the likes of Monkfish may come and threaten that position, but at the minute, he's their star horse, and I kind of hope he does it. Does it on the big stage. There'll be people who might, because he's been relatively lightly raced, won't have seen him on these shores, and I hope he does it. If you're looking for, you don't want to sort of play at those sort of odds. I just think sort of without the favourites, perhaps each way without the favourite. I think Notebook's overpriced. He's flopped at the last two Cheltenham festivals. Probably a stiff task on the first occasion, but he was favourite for last year's Arkland. For whatever reason, just didn't run his race, possibly over the top. He's had a lighter campaign this year. There's nothing in his makeup which suggests he shouldn't be a Cheltenham horse. He's a magnificent jumper, and I just think he's been sort of overlooked. He was a good second over Christmas to Chacun Pour Soi. I think that's been sort of forgotten about. I think they made too much use of him last time against the same horse. I think they won't adopt those. I don't think he needs to lead. They'll be pacing the race with First Flow and sort of other pace setters. He'll probably just sit in behind them. And I could just see him outperforming his odds. He's a much bigger price than Put the Kettle on his stable companion. I'm sure he's a better horse than she is. He's already beaten her in that race I was on about. And if you're looking for a different angle than the favourite, I think Notebook without the favourite may be the way to go.
I think the fact it's behind closed doors will definitely help Notebook as well, because he can get a bit buzzy. I think last year in the Arkle, I think he maybe bolted to post. That might be in the Irish Arkle.
No, he didn't bolt to post, but there was a false start, and although they didn't go that far, it couldn't have helped. And yeah, I mean that's right. And they also he'd had quite a bit of racing last year, and they've deliberately sort of, I think he's only had the 3 runs this time around, but he's such a good jumper. I just think he'll, I think he's probably just the best of last year's 2 mile novices. And he's not priced along those ways, along those lines. So, he might run well.
Yeah, it could definitely be a player, like you say, each way without the favourite. And maybe another race looking at without the favourite would be the cross country. Although I know we were just talking off air before we came on. Why isn't Easysland a shorter price?
Well, yeah, I mean, look, I'll declare an interest. I really don't like the cross country chase. It's rare I'll ever consider having a bet in it. It's my least favourite race at the meeting, but that's sort of a blind spot of mine. I know lots of people do quite like it. They do view it as a good betting contest, and I just don't understand of the odds on favourites we've just mentioned. I mean, there's an argument to say Easysland should be the shortest of the 3, and he's not. I think he's just gone odds on again. But last night he was sort of shades of odds against, and that's probably the way to go. I mean, he's won 7 of his last 8 over cross country fences. He really is a specialist. And the defeat was here back in the autumn. And I think there's just been too much of a knee-jerk reaction to it. It was a bit lackluster, but he was conceding lumps and lumps of weight to most of the horses he was running against. He emerged as by far the best horse at the weights on the day. Even a reproduction of that run should be good enough to win this race at levels. And I just think, it's a boring selection, but there's an argument that he could be even shorter than he is at the minute. It's sort of, there's so many doubts about many of the others. I'm a fan of Potter's Corner, and he took well to the course last time. There's no way on that form he should be beating Easysland, and he's got a bit to prove after his last 2 runs over hurdles. Because although obviously they were sort of keeping their powder dry until the Grand National weights were out to protect his mark for that, but I still think they'd have probably ideally liked him to have qualified for the attempts just to give themselves another option at the festival. And his last run at Exeter was really poor. He was beaten worryingly a long way out, and I just think sure he might bounce back. He's a sort of very talented horse, but I think there are so many doubts about the others. Obviously, Tiger Roll was a big question mark about him.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think back to last year's race, there's how far below his best. When you think how far he beat the remainder, for much of that race, if Easysland hadn't have been there, you'd have said, well, that's Tiger Roll at his best, and he spanked him. I think the idea he'll be able to turn that form around at his age, given the sort of doubts about him. I think Easysland is definitely the way to go. And so I can't believe I'm tipping horse in the cross-country chase, but it seems an obvious one to me, and that's the way to go.
Yeah, just touching on Potter's Corner, he does have the cheek pieces reapplied, which could spark a bit of a revival. But seemed to warm to the task when he ran here last time. He's 5-2 without the favourite. That could be an angle. But
yeah, no, I definitely prefer him more than Tiger Roll. I just don't see how he could, sort of confirm the placings off the revised terms.
Cool. So moving on to another cavalry charge in the Grand Annual. There's a couple of big prices that caught my eye. Former Arkle winner Duke de Geneva, who just got touched off in the slur here early in the season, has the hood reapplied, and Glenn Forster, who ran in that Arkle that he won, he's had a wind up. They're both 25s. I thought there were potential each way alternatives, but have you got one for us in the Grand Annual?
Yeah, I mean, there are loads like that there, Kieran. Sort of, it's a mixture of horses who are sort of who've seen better days, if you like, and are dropping down the weights again. And there's, a number of sort of unexposed novices in there, and it's trying to sort of find the sort of which way it's going to go. And this race, it's a real mixture, because although sort of plenty of novices have won this race, and if you think of last year's renewal, I think 3 of the first 4 were novices. Also, you get loads of the other type of horses, the sort of supposedly fully exposed horses just dropping down the weights can win it. And I think it's often to do with, yes, it's always fast and furious, the Grand Annual. No news there. I think this one could be even more than normal. There's so much pace in the race instead of horses who like to be up there. And the fact it's run on the old course instead of the new course, I think that could help with any sort of possible pace collapse, because I think generally speaking, you want to be prominent in a large field race over the fences at Cheltenham, but I think there could be a scenario where it wouldn't totally rule out horses coming from off the pace as well. So it's all tricky. I'd narrowed it down to a short list of 3 actually at various ends of the market. Of the sort of the favourites, I'm keenest on Embittered. Joseph O'Brien's got a really, really strong team here. He's got 3 runners in it. You can make a case for all 3 of them, but I'm keenest on this. It's basically a graded novice running in a handicap. That's what won this race last year, Chosen Mate.
Cheltenham form as well.
Yeah, it would exactly. It ran well in the county last year. Wouldn't look out of place in the Arkle, and it's running here. And it's got I think it's got the best time figure of the season of the ones in here going in there. So I can see why it's favourite. Iblio just keeps on improving, keeps winning for Venetia Williams. I think that's 12-14. I'm surprised it's that big. That's a good price. It's a solid horse, and you can see sort of him, the way he's sort of been winning his races. He's been strong at the death most of the times, so that would suit any pace collapse. So that's probably the most solid of the options, but I'm probably going to go for a flyer, a bit like you in the Coral Cup. I think Bun Doran of Tom George's is way overpriced. And look, if you look at this season's form, you can understand why he's that price, because he's got 3 sort of fairly uninspiring efforts. But the stable was under a cloud for much of the winter. It's going better now. He's got a really good course record, and I think he's just probably given too much of a chance by the handicap. It's only 4 starts ago. He was still second jumping the last in the Queen Mother Champion chase, and he was beating like Duke de Geneva and horses like that Kempton earlier in the season. He's a bit quirky. He doesn't always find. He can be a bit frustrating in the latter stages. Obviously, if you think back when he was second in this race to Croco Wood, when he looked like Croco Bay looked like he was going to win. So that might happen again. But he's 28-1, and I just think. I think it's worth chancing on those odds. The chance he's gone completely, and if he's pulled up at halfway, I apologise, but I think it's a risk worth taking, given the fact it's not that long ago you can find him run into a racing where you could see him win this quite easily. And I think the sort of well-run handicap angle will argue he'll probably find that much easier than trying to sort of match stride with proper Grade 1 horses. He's the way to go for me at 28.
Cool, and then we'll finish with the bumper. I'll
all over to you for the bumper. I've got no views in the bumper.
So it looks, William Mullins has won it 10 times. It looks as if he's going to win it for 11th. He's got the top 2 in the betting. Obviously, Kilcrew ran away with that bumper at Leopardstown, the Dublin Racing Festival, but that race was run at a really strong pace, and I think he was potentially flattered. So for all he is a potentially really good horse, and you don't win races by that distance without being a good horse. I think that the winning distance maybe did potentially flatter him, just given how quick they went. And then you've got Sir Gerhard, who switched from Gordon Elliott, who's done absolutely nothing wrong. Out of those 2, I'd probably prefer Sir Gerhard, but I'm going to put an each-way alternative. It's a fellow Willie Mullins in there in Ramillies, who finished 26 lengths behind Kilcrew last time, but he travelled through that Leopardstown race like a good horse. He hit the front on the bridle turning in, and it was a case of he ran too close to the pace, and he arguably shaped second best, and He's a general 14 to 1 shot. He ran away with a bumper at Leopardstown over Christmas by 10 lengths, and we've seen Mullins win it with outsiders in the past. And
I was about to say,
14 to
the
1.
Mullins second or third strings, and sometimes they can still win this race, can't they? So yeah.
Yeah, and I just thought 14 to 1, he'd be, you're looking at 4 to 6 the pair, the first two in the betting, or a 14 to 1 shot each way. I thought that he was probably the one that made most appeal at a bigger price. The likes of Three Stripe Life, won its sole start for Gordon Elliott. Now with Denise Foster, well found enough in the market, about 6-7 to 1. So Ramillies for me in the bumper each way. Like he says, something for everyone on day 2. Whatever your selections, we always say best of luck. Phil, thanks for your time. Hopefully we've unearthed 1 or 2 with live chances there anyway.
Yep. Cheers, Kieran. Good luck, everyone.
No problem. Best of luck.